State Representative Jeffrey Elmore with your weekly session update for February 16th. Extremely busy week for the office here in Raleigh. We've had a lot of committee meetings this week. I've also had a lot of private meetings with different interest groups, ranging from agriculture, education, university system, community college system, speaking with me about their needs as the House is the first to prepare the budget in this biennium. So we are already beginning work. A big part of that budget development took place this week because we got our first numbers with our revenue forecast. The news has reported the revenue forecast, and our Speaker Moore and also Senator Berger have commented on it. We are going to experience almost a $3 billion surplus. So the tax policies that have been in place for the past decade, the tax reforms that we have put through, are really paying off with our revenue growth. Now, it's a double-edged sword, what we are seeing with the forecasting. A lot of this will be one-time money because the projections are that we are going to see a slight decline in growth in the next couple of years because the economy is slowing down. So it's a balancing act. I know the number seems big, but for the long term, we have to look at reoccurring cost to the state. Revenues may flatten out as we see a decline in economic growth and also as additional tax reductions take place. Also, we passed our House rules this week. I know this is very inside baseball, but it is pretty critical on how the rules are in the chamber because the rules can be used in nefarious ways, but we do not want that because we want a very open and transparent process. But one of the changes in the rules that I wanted to share with you is we are creating the ability that if a veto override is taking place, that it has to be on the calendar. So all members will be notified via the calendar if a veto override is taking place. So there's about 3 ways that can happen. Is if the veto happens, we can vote on it the same day as the governor sends it over to our chamber. We can also vote on it the same day if it comes over the Senate, and all of those notifications would take place through the calendar. So that was a big change. So we will have the ability, if needed, to do a veto override the same day as those processes are moving. Some bills that passed the House and that are moving to the Senate. HB 76, access to health care options. This was basically a Medicaid expansion bill and also dealt with a program that pulled down additional federal money. It did pass the House 96-23. I did not vote for the bill because of the expansion to a entitlement program and the long-term effect of that. We even with our Medicaid reforms, we are still seeing exorbitant costs dealing with what is called rebase each year. Costs are going up, number of people on it are going up, and that is a continuous problem and has been for the entire decade that I've been down here. This would put additional people on the rolls, so I had some financial concerns with it long term. But it did pass the House, and now it's moved to the Senate, where negotiations on that issue will continue for months at this point. We also passed HB 36 and sent to the Senate. This is firearms training for probation and parole officers. This would allow for sworn law enforcement officers to qualify for concealed carry without having to take a private concealed carry class, meaning the training that they already have to go through will count towards that. This is just a simple bill to help streamline this for our law enforcement. Just another way we're trying to support law enforcement in the chamber. So those 2 bills went to the Senate. We also sent a pistol permit repeal bill to the Senate. They have sent us one also back the other way. So we're seeing 2 bills on the same subject crossing the paths, but the pistol permit repeal did move through the chamber also. Now, some bills of interest that have been filed. There has been House Bill 101, the Firearms Liberty Act. This is basically a Second Amendment bill that has rolled in a bunch of small concepts into one. I mentioned a couple of them. Pistol permit repeal is in that one. Also, the surrender of firearms after a criminal conviction, some changes there. It will also deal with the bill that I talked about last week, the protection of religious meeting places. So that bill has it all rolled in together. Not sure if them all being rolled in together will move forward or if it's going to be different bills in smaller chunks. So that was a bill of interest. Also, I filed my first bill of the session this week. It's House Bill 131, Protect NC Education Savings and Investment Accounts. What this will do is 529 plans where folks are saving money for their child's education. So basically, it's pretty much the child's money preparing them for college. That in bankruptcy cases, that money would not be allowed to be swiped by the creditors, because it's not really about the parents, it's more about the kid. And there are situations where when bankruptcies take place, the college savings is totally wiped and the kid has no opportunity to use that towards their education. I think this will help a great deal, especially with student debt, because these are the type of things that we need to do to tackle student debt, is proper savings on the front end as the student goes into the educational system. Something else I'd like to mention, thanks Carl White. He has put out a preview of our podcast with Life in the Carolinas about the top 10 good things for 2023 happening in the state of North Carolina. And we talked for about an hour and 20 minutes about 10 different things that are positive that are happening in North Carolina in the year 2023. The preview for that podcast has been put out and it will be published in about the next week. Give it a listen. Life in the Carolinas podcast. You get to go into a lot of detail about these items on that podcast. Thank you, Carl, for the opportunity there. Also, this Friday, tomorrow, I will be in Wilkesboro in the district talking about flood mitigation with the American Flood Coalition, talking about the needs of the western part of the state with flood mitigation projects. How do we prevent flooding before it happens? And the difference in our flash flood events that happen in the western part of the state versus in the eastern part of the state where hurricanes primarily do the flooding and the water has nowhere to go. I will be doing that visit tomorrow with them and talking with them about the needs for Western North Carolina. Also want to put in another plug for the raffle tickets for the All-Star race through the Wilkes County GOP. They've officially gotten their seat assignments for those tickets. So see an executive member or look on Facebook group for Wilkes County Republican Party, and you can figure out how to get some of those tickets. They're $20 a piece, and they're going to have 2 drawings for 2 sets of 2 tickets. So 4 tickets total, but 2 drawings. They're going in pairs. That's an excellent opportunity.